The wind howled like a living thing across the snow-swept hills, whipping Officer Ryan Callahan's coat around his legs. His K9 Brutus, a massive black German shepherd with eyes sharp as flint, stopped abruptly in the drifts. Pawing at the snow, he unearthed a shredded jacket, frozen stiff and smeared with crimson. Ryan's stomach sank. The cold seemed to seep deeper here, into the bones and into the heart. The faint sound of something or someone moving in the distance made him tense. Somewhere out there, hidden in the white, was a secret that could unravel everything he thought he knew about this town. If you're drawn to stories like this, the ones that grip your chest and linger in your mind, don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll find the kind of suspense that keeps you turning pages late into the night. The snowstorm had grown relentless by the time Ryan Callahan and Brutus had trudged a mile into the backwoods outside Pine Hollow. Visibility was near zero. Everything beyond a few feet of frozen whiteness vanished into a blur of gray. Each step was a battle. Boots sinking into drifts that seemed bottomless, ice snapping beneath like brittle glass. Ryan's breath came in ragged clouds, mixing with the sharp tang of pine resin, and the faint metallic scent lingering from the torn jacket Brutus had found. He crouched beside the jacket again, lifting it carefully, gloves stiff from cold. Blood had crusted in small patches along the seams, dark against the pale fabric. Ryan's mind raced. A man? A boy? Someone missing from town, perhaps? His gut tightened. The kind of tension that gnaws at the core, warning you that everything you're about to discover will be worse than you expect. Brutus growled low, ears pricked, tail stiff. The dog was alert in a way that went beyond training. There was an instinct there, primal and unshakable. Ryan followed his gaze. Among the snowdrifts, something dark moved, slightly, almost imperceptibly. A shape, or just a trick of the storm? He reached for his flashlight, shaking with cold and nerves. "Easy, boy," Ryan murmured. Brutus whimpered but stayed put, still locked on the movement. He flicked the flashlight, the beam slicing a narrow swath through the blizzard. The snow swirled, blindingly white. And then, just for a moment, the light caught on a small figure slumped against a tree. Ryan froze. It was a boy, 9, maybe 10. Mud and snow plastered his hair to his face, frostbite pinking his cheeks, and his eyes were wide with terror. He was trembling, not from cold alone, but from something deeper, something that had hollowed him from the inside. His jacket was gone. His small hands were clutching a soaked backpack, arms barely visible beneath tattered sleeves. "Hey, it's okay. It's okay, kid," Ryan called softly, inching forward. Brutus moved to his side, growling, a protective barrier between the boy and whatever might be lurking in the blizzard. The boy flinched back, eyes darting wildly. Don't go near," he whispered, his voice raw. Ryan slowed, crouching lower to appear smaller, non-threatening. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm a police officer. My dog won't hurt you either." He noticed in the faint smell, smoke, something acrid. Ryan's pulse quickened. If this child had been out here long, he'd have found a way to keep warm. The smell meant someone else had been here. Someone dangerous. Brutus growled again, low and menacing. Ryan followed his gaze to a narrow path leading deeper into the woods. Footprints. Too large to be the boys', crusted over with snow. They moved deliberately, methodically. Someone had been tracking him. "Okay, buddy," Ryan said gently, standing and offering a hand. "I need you to come with me. You're safe now." The boy hesitated. Then, with a shiver, he nodded and let Ryan guide him, Brutus at his heel. Every step forward felt like wading through molasses, the storm relentless, the darkness pressing down. Ryan's radio crackled once, static cutting through the wind. He ignored it. He couldn't risk losing focus now. They reached a small clearing. The trees arched overhead, heavy with snow, creating a tunnel that seemed to swallow sound. That's when Ryan noticed the first clue that made his heart hammer. A shallow hole, half hidden beneath a mound of snow. Something had been buried here recently. Brutus sniffed, barking, pawing at the snow. Ryan dropped to his knees and began digging carefully. Ice-crusted fingers pulled away layers of frozen snow until the object beneath was revealed. A child-sized backpack, ripped open, its contents strewn. Among them a notebook, pages soaked and illegible, except for one thing, a crude drawing of a man in a ski mask, holding what looked like a knife. A small, shaky hand had scribbled a name beneath it. Lucas. Ryan froze. Lucas. That was the boy's name. He realized, remembering the whisper earlier. The sound of a branch snapping made Ryan whirl. No one was there, but the feeling of being watched pressed in from all sides. He tugged the boy closer, shielding him with his body. Brutus growled again, ears flat. Ryan! A voice called from behind. Not over the radio, but close, chillingly human. You shouldn't be here. Ryan spun. Out of the storm emerged a figure, hooded and snow-dusted, walking with a slow, deliberate stride. The eyes beneath the hood were cold, assessing, dangerous. Ryan instinctively placed himself between the boy and the stranger. Who are you? Ryan demanded, hand on the holster of his sidearm. Someone who knows what happens to kids who wander too far. The figure said, voice low, menacing. The way he said it made Ryan's stomach twist. Familiar yet alien, as if he'd seen this face before, somewhere just beyond memory. The boy clung to Ryan's leg. He said he would take me, Lucas whispered, voice trembling. Ryan's jaw tightened. Not happening. You're safe now. I'll make sure of it. The figure smirked, pulling something from beneath his coat. A knife? Ryan's reflexes kicked in, training taking over. Brutus lunged, teeth bared. The stranger froze, raising his hands, a twisted grin still on his face. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, he vanished into the storm, leaving only a trail of disturbed snow and the echo of his laughter. Ryan exhaled slowly, dropping his head against the boys. It's okay, kids, okay? But deep down, he knew the storm wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Whoever had been out here, whoever had abandoned this child, was still out there, and Ryan had just stumbled into a nightmare that would pull Pine Hollow apart. They moved slowly back toward his cruiser, the boy shivering. Brutus pressed against him protectively. Every shadow in the woods seemed alive, whispering secrets, hinting at betrayal. Ryan couldn't shake the thought. The stranger had known he was coming. How? By the time they reached the road, Ryan's phone was buzzing with messages. Missing persons reports, one after another. Children, teenagers, some never found. And then in the storm's howl, he heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping, echoing from the trees. A signal? A warning? Ryan glanced at Brutus. The dog's ears were up, head tilted, growling low. Ryan's heart pounded. This was bigger than one boy, one torn jacket. Something sinister had been hiding in Pine Hollow all along, and now it had been unleashed. As the cruiser's heater fought to warm the freezing cabin, Ryan drove slowly back toward town. Lucas bundled beside him, silent but trembling. Brutus sat alert, ears scanning the snow-blurred horizon. Ryan's mind raced with questions he didn't have answers for yet. Who had left the boy? Why the jacket in the snow? And most importantly, what horrors lay ahead if they didn't uncover the truth in time? He caught Lucas staring out the frost-covered window. We're going to find your family, Ryan said, voice firm but gentle. I promise. The boy nodded, but his eyes remained haunted, already carrying shadows no child should know. Outside, the storm continued to rage, white and blinding. Inside, a quiet tension had settled, like a heartbeat before a scream. The warmth of the cruiser was a poor shield against the storm outside. Ryan's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles white, the heater doing little to chase the chill from his bones. Lucas huddled beside him, small and trembling, the edges of the torn jacket clutched in his tiny fists like a talisman against the nightmare he had survived. Brutus sat alert in the back, nose twitching at every shift of snow and wind. The roads were slick, the snow piling higher by the minute, obscuring the familiar paths of Pine Hollow. Ryan felt that familiar tension gnawing at him, the same knot in his gut that had warned him before he found the boy in the woods. There was something about this storm, about this night, that felt deliberate, not natural, deliberate. Ryan's radio crackled again, this time with a call from dispatch. Callahan, any word on... I'm with the child. Ryan interrupted, voice tight. We're heading back to the station. I'll call when we're clear. There was a pause, static filling the silence before a hesitant, "Copy that." Came through. Ryan ended the transmission, eyes on the road, but his mind was elsewhere. Whoever had left Lucas in the woods wasn't just a random predator. This was organized, planned, and they knew he was coming. As they crested the last hill before town, Ryan saw the first flicker of lights from the station through the snow-blurred windows. Relief should have washed over him, but instead, a wave of unease settled in. Pine Hollow had always seemed sleepy, harmless even. But tonight, the town felt like it was holding its breath, hiding something beneath its quiet streets. Inside the station, Lucas was wrapped in a thick blanket, his small frame shivering despite the heat. Ryan watched him quietly, noting the hollow look in his eyes. Children were supposed to run and laugh in snowstorms, not hide for hours in the shadow of a stranger's threat. "Kid, I need to know. Did anyone else see you? Anyone in the woods?" Ryan asked gently, crouching to meet his eyes. Lucas shook his head, whispering, "No, just him. He said I can't tell anyone. If I do, he'll—" Ryan exhaled slowly, a cold knot forming in his stomach. "I get it, buddy. You're safe now. No one's going to hurt you." But even as he said it, he knew the lie might be only temporary. The storm wasn't over, and neither were the people hiding in its wake. Detective Marla Green entered the room, her coat dusted with snow, hair sticking in wet strands across her forehead. She had been Ryan's partner in the department for nearly a decade, a woman whose intuition was as sharp as her tongue. And tonight, she brought a shadow of suspicion with her. "Callahan," she said, eyes flicking to Lucas and Brutus. "You found him?" Ryan nodded. "In the backwoods. Torn jacket in the snow. Someone else was out there. I swear I saw a figure." Marla's brow furrowed. "You weren't supposed to be in the storm alone. We had a team ready. I couldn't wait. The kid, he was out there. No one else could have gotten to him in time." Ryan's jaw tightened. Marla sighed, placing a hand on the small of her back. "I get that, but now we have a problem. Whoever did this knows you, Callahan. That's dangerous for you and for him." Ryan's stomach turned. He hadn't considered that yet. "Then we protect him. That's all that matters." Marla shook her head. "Protection isn't enough. We need to know who we're dealing with." The first sign of unease came moments later, when Lucas froze, staring at the doorway. "They're here," he whispered, voice trembling. Ryan's head snapped up. Outside the station, through the snow-streaked windows, he could just make out two figures, hooded, moving like shadows. Brutus barked violently, teeth bared, hackles raised. The figures didn't approach, only lingered at the edges, watching. Then, just as quickly, they vanished into the storm. Ryan felt the first real tremor of fear creep into him. These weren't random intruders. They were tracking them, orchestrating every step. And now, the hunter had become the hunted. Later that night, the station was quiet, Lucas asleep in a cot, Brutus curled at the foot. Ryan sat across from Marla, files and maps spread on the table. He traced the footprints they had seen in the woods with a pen, his mind racing through possibilities. "They've been careful," Marla said, eyes narrowed. "They leave minimal traces, know how to use the weather as cover. Whoever it is, they've done this before. Multiple times." Ryan's fingers drummed against the table. "And the boy? How do we know he's telling the whole story?" Marla's gaze was sharp. "You trust him?" Ryan swallowed hard. He wanted to, desperately, but something gnawed at him. The fear in Lucas's eyes wasn't just for the woods. It was fear for someone he trusted, someone who betrayed him, or maybe worse, someone he hadn't even met yet. The next morning, Ryan returned to the site where he had found Lucas. The snow had begun to thaw, leaving a wet, slushy mess. But footprints remained, both small and large, leading deeper into the woods. He knelt, brushing away the snow, and found a small piece of fabric pinned beneath a branch. Not part of the torn jacket, but something else. A clue left deliberately, perhaps to taunt him. Brutus sniffed at the branch, growling low. Ryan followed the trail, every muscle tensed, senses on edge. The woods seemed alive, whispering secrets and lies, shadows bending where there were none. Hours later, Ryan returned with more questions and answers. Lucas was safe, but the storm of events was far from over. That night, as he reviewed the boy's notebook, pages soaked and smeared, he found a pattern. The drawings, the names, the crude sketches of figures with knives. They weren't random. Someone had been documenting the disappearances. Someone had been planning this meticulously. Then came the betrayal. Marla called him late that night, voice tight. "Callahan, we found something in your locker at the station." Ryan froze. "What?" "Your sidearm is gone. And the jacket. Lucas's jacket, the one you found. It's missing." The line went silent for a long moment. Ryan's chest tightened. Who would take it?" Marla's voice was low, almost trembling. "I don't know, but there's one thing I do know. Whoever did it, they knew exactly how to get to you. They've been inside this station, Callahan. Inside your life." Ryan sank back in his chair, mind spinning. The thought that someone he trusted, or at least thought he could, had infiltrated his own precinct, perhaps even betrayed him, sent a cold shiver down his spine. Brutus patted over, nudging his hand, sensing the rising tension. The next day, Lucas returned to the station for questioning, and Ryan watched him closely. The boy was silent, his eyes haunted, but something in his posture, hesitation, avoidance, hinted that he wasn't telling the whole story. Later, while reviewing footage from security cameras outside the station, Ryan saw it. A shadowy figure, hooded, moving with deliberate stealth, slipping into the building when no one was watching. And then, briefly, the flash of a familiar face. Someone he had trained with, someone he thought was on his side, someone he had trusted. Betrayal. It was a knife to the gut. Ryan leaned back, exhaling slowly, mind racing. Every instinct screamed danger. Whoever had left Lucas in the snow had allies inside the town, and possibly inside the very station he considered a safe haven. The storm had begun outside, but a darker storm was rising within Pine Hollow. As night fell, Ryan sat alone in the empty station, Brutus at his side, watching the snowfall outside. Lucas slept fitfully in the cot, shadows crossing his young face. Ryan's thoughts spiraled. How deep did betrayal go? Who could he trust? And most importantly, what was the real reason Lucas had been left alone in the storm? The answer, Ryan realized with sinking heart, would come at a cost. And someone, somewhere, was already planning how to make him pay. The storm had finally passed, leaving Pine Hollow buried in a fragile quiet. Snowflakes clung to the trees like frozen tears, and the world looked deceptively serene. But Ryan knew better. The calm after the storm wasn't peace. It was a moment before a reckoning. Brutus patted at his side, ears twitching at every whisper of wind. Lucas clutched the torn jacket to his chest, still small and trembling, as if the snow itself carried the thread of what had happened. Ryan sat in his cruiser outside the station, scanning the empty streets. The betrayal weighed on him like a leaden chain. Someone inside the precinct had interfered, had taken the jacket and sidearm, had left subtle messages that made his skin crawl. He had trusted people he shouldn't have. He had let his guard down. The radio crackled. "Callahan, are you there?" Ryan hesitated, then answered, his voice low. "Go ahead." Station security caught a break. "Camera footage. Someone entered the woods last night, carrying a bag." Ryan froze. "What kind of bag?" "Small, child-sized. Could be Lucas's." Every instinct screamed danger. Ryan turned the cruiser around, Brutus alert, every muscle taut. Whoever had returned to the woods, whoever had infiltrated the station, was moving faster than they could anticipate. He had to intercept them. He had to protect Lucas before it was too late. They drove into the backwoods, the road slick and treacherous. The remnants of the storm lay like a white grave across the hills and fields. Ryan's mind raced. Who had taken the jacket? Who had returned to the woods? The figure he had glimpsed before, the one with the hood, was part of something larger, a network he hadn't even begun to comprehend. As they approached the clearing where he had first found Lucas, a figure emerged from the snow. Hooded, black coat dusted with frost, face hidden, but the stance, the rhythm, the familiarity, it was unmistakable. Ryan's heart thudded painfully. "You," he whispered, voice tight. "You've been following us." The figure stepped closer, and the hood fell back. It was Officer Marla Green. Ryan's stomach dropped. "Marla, why?" Marla's eyes were cold, her face set with resolve that made Ryan's gut twist. "I had to," she said. "You don't understand. There's more at stake than you know. Lucas, he's not just a kid lost in the storm. He's part of something, part of a plan that's bigger than this town." Ryan's hand went to his sidearm, missing, and he realized the betrayal wasn't just personal. It was institutional. She had been working from the inside to manipulate events, to control outcomes, to keep Lucas safe, or to keep him away. And she had lied, not just to him, but to everyone. Brutus growled, low and warning. Ryan took a cautious step forward. "Explain. Now." Marla exhaled sharply, snowflakes clinging to her lashes. "Lucas. He's the son of someone who tried to expose Pine Hollow secrets. The disappearances, the cover-ups, they'll come for him if we let him go public. I intercepted the jacket, the sidearm, to protect him, to protect all of us." Ryan's mind raced. Every instinct screamed betrayal. Yet part of him, the part that knew Marla's intuition, her loyalty to truth in quiet moments, couldn't ignore the possibility she was telling the truth. Lucas's safety was real. But at what cost? Before he could speak, Lucas bolted from the cruiser, slipping into the snow like a ghost. Ryan yelled, and Brutus darted after him, teeth bared, muscles coiled. The boy's small figure disappeared among the drifts. Marla froze. "No. Ryan, he can't survive out there alone." Ryan pushed through the snow, Brutus at his side, heart hammering. The boy's footprints led toward the hollow, the old barn where the previous disappearances had been traced. Ryan's pulse was a drumbeat of fear and urgency. Whoever had orchestrated this, whoever had hunted the children, was still moving, still watching. Inside the barn, shadows twisted and stretched in the dim light, filtering through the broken boards. Lucas huddled against the corner, eyes wide with terror. Ryan knelt beside him. "It's okay, buddy. You're safe." But the sense of threat was immediate. The barn doors creaked, and a figure stepped into the light. Knife glinting faintly, hooded, deliberate. The predator had returned, drawn by chaos and opportunity. "Step away from the boy." Ryan barked, adrenaline cutting to the cold, every nerve alive. Brutus growled, hackles raised, teeth gleaming. The figure laughed softly, voice familiar, terrifying. "You think you can protect him? You don't even know what's coming." Then, with a sudden motion, the hood fell back. It was someone Ryan had trusted, a retired officer who had disappeared years ago, presumed dead after a scandal. Their eyes glinted with obsession, a chilling mix of resentment and calculated menace. "You ruined everything," the figure hissed. "And now, I'll finish what I started." Ryan lunged, Brutus beside him, chaos erupting in the confined space. The predator struck, knife flashing, narrowly missing Ryan's shoulder. Lucas screamed, backing into the corner. Ryan's instincts took over. He grabbed the nearest object, swinging to block the knife. Brutus lunged, teeth sinking into the attacker's arm. The figure howled, releasing the weapon. Ryan tackled the figure to the floor, heart hammering, every muscle straining. Snow for the open door blew in, mixing with dust and fear. He pinned them, breathing hard. "It's over," he growled. The predator's eyes, wild and unhinged, met his. "You can't save them all. You'll never stop it." Ryan's grip tightened. "Maybe not," he admitted, voice low. "But I'll stop this." Marla stepped into barn, gun drawn, covering Ryan. The predator thrashed once, then went limp as Brutus kept a steady hold. The nightmare was ending, but the cost was visible in every line of Ryan's face, every shiver of exhaustion. Hours later, in the quiet of the station, Lucas slept, finally safe. Brutus lay at the cot's foot, still alert. Ryan and Marla sat opposite each other, exhausted but tense, words unnecessary. The betrayal had cut deep, but the boy had survived. The storm had passed, but its echoes lingered. Ryan looked at Marla, the moral complexity of the night pressing down. I don't know if I'll ever understand all of it, he said quietly. Marla nodded. Sometimes. Understanding isn't the point. Survival is. Outside, Pine Hollow lay blanketed in snow, peaceful in appearance but scarred underneath. Ryan knew the shadows weren't gone. They were just hiding, waiting. But for now, one child was safe, and the chaos had been stopped. As dawn broke, the first rays of light caught in the frost, Lucas stirred, opening his eyes. He looked at Ryan, small and fragile, and for the first time, a hint of trust returned. Ryan offered a tentative smile. "You're safe now," he said gently. Lucas nodded, clinging to the torn jacket, the symbol of the storm he had endured. Brutus nudged him, a silent guardian, and Ryan felt the tension in his chest ease just slightly. Some secrets of Pine Hollow would never be fully uncovered. Some betrayals would leave scars that never healed. But in the quiet after the storm, a fragile truth remained. Courage, loyalty, and the bonds between the living, human and dog alike, could endure even the darkest of nights. Ryan leaned back, watching the sunrise over the snow-blanketed town. Heart-heavy yet oddly light. He knew storms would come again, both outside and within. But for now, the child was alive. The predator was restrained. And the bonds forged in the storm, the quiet trust between officer, boy, and K9, would linger long after the echoes in the snow had faded. And sometimes that was enough.